I'll begin with you. You've done this hundreds of times. You've talked to the coaches and players in advance of games where a player has returned back to where they played. Just how personal was this game for Pete Carroll and for the Seattle Seahawks?
I think it was really personal. Pete was guarded with things that he would say publicly.
Sure.
He talked to people around Pete, and I think they were willing to let on a little bit just how much this meant to Pete Carroll with this marriage kind of breaking apart and Russell Wilson forcing his way out of the organization and getting to a great situation with the Denver Broncos, and then it's what's left in Seattle. So, what's left is Geno Smith, and Geno Smith was really good here tonight getting this opening day start. It was fascinating to watch. I'm sure we'll talk about the end of the game, which just feels still kind of surreal, but for Pete Carroll, that was an emotional win. I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah, Troy, I had intended, based on how the game went, to ask you about Geno because he could not have started any better. He's basically perfect in the first half. But given the way the game ended, I'm just fascinated in your perspective, right? As the guy that's been the quarterback, all right, we get down to the goal line twice and we come up empty because we fumbled twice. Now we've got an opportunity, as you said it perfectly in the broadcast. It's 4th and 5, and Hackett elects to go with the leg of McManus over Russell Wilson on 4th and 5. You're Russell Wilson. How's that sit with you?
Well, not well. Not well in any ball game, particularly a game of this magnitude when you're coming back home and the emotions and everything that he obviously felt coming into this game and throughout the ball game, and the 12s, the way that they were responding to him. So I was surprised by it. We were caught off guard with the timeout. Like everybody, we couldn't quite understand why they were letting so much time come off the clock. They went with McManus, and that was the decision then that Hackett made, that he trusted McManus's leg more than he trusted Russell Wilson being able to convert there on 4th down. And that will be heavily dissected as we move through the week, and it won't sit well with Russell Wilson.
Now, we'll hear from Hackett here shortly on that. I mean, McManus does have this huge leg, but plus 60, man, I mean, he's 1 of 8 on those kicks. You don't expect the guy to make them, and that's the way they went. I think that – go ahead, Joe.
Well, I was just going to say, because typically when you're in that position, whether it's Tucker or any kicker, there's no time left. It's not like, the clock was winding down. There's well outside of 30 seconds. They have 3 timeouts.
Right.
It's 4th and 5. The ball's outside the 45-yard line. You're going, wait, you're going to let this run down. That's why we go on camera at the end, when they finally do call the timeout with 1 second left on the play clock. And while we're looking into this camera, they switch and they bring their field goal team on. And it was shocking once we came out of that little moment on camera and looked down, and there's McManus. They didn't have to try this desperate field goal. And this is why you make a deal to get Russell Wilson, in my estimation. I think Nathaniel Hackett's going to be a great head coach, and that's going to be a great marriage going forward. But this is a weird ending to this game, to say the least.
But it's great fodder for what we do, right? It gives us something to talk about here and all morning long on ESPN and all the different shows. I'm sure they'll be talking about this. And Joe, with a final thought on week 1, we try to be reasonable. We try to be measured about what it is we've seen and not overreact. But sometimes we kind of can't help ourselves doing what we do. I'm interested in what you found most interesting in this week 1, a performance from a team or a player that you thought, that's something.
I think this, we've talked about it. The league is different than when Troy played. And these guys they want to keep everybody healthy as best they can during the preseason. You had Geno Smith, who played throughout the preseason because he was trying to win a job. And it looked like they were more ready offensively in the first half than Denver. And Denver didn't play anybody of note, and especially Russell Wilson with a new system in the preseason. And they're going to go through their growing pains here early.
Yeah, and on that note, I think that when you look at it, we've still had a number of players that were injured, that were questionable coming into games, not just this one, as to whether or not they would play, guys who'd never even played in the preseason. So we've talked about that and the relevance of preseason when all of your objective is, and a lot of coaches are doing it since Sean McVay started doing it years ago, resting starters throughout the preseason. But it's why we've seen some of the games like we have when they haven't had an opportunity to go. And we saw it even late in this ball game when the guys who are supposed to be in good shape, they're extended. They're cramping up. They're not prepared to go 60 minutes in a ball game.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.